Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are watching in the world. My name is Sean Driver. This is the Red Horde, and we're talking suspensions because we know one is coming. It's just a matter of time. And so we're going to talk about that really quickly. Should be a short video, I'm hoping, fingers crossed, but this is the Red Horde. So this video really talking about card accumulation, caution accumulation, and what it means is if you pick up too many yellow cards over the course of a season, you end up getting suspended. And we've got Elliot Lee sitting on 4 cards, which means when he picks up his 5th, because it's unlikely he's going to be able to make it to the 19th game, he's going to end up getting an automatic suspension. So just a matter of time, hoping it doesn't necessarily happen this weekend, although we can anticipate that Elliot's probably going to miss a game. So just wanted to go through the regulations. I've tried to do this sitting at the computer. I've tried to do it elsewhere. Just not really coming together with what I've got for my setup. So I'm going to just talk to you generally about it, and I'll add the actual wording to the regulations that are up there. It won't be verbatim, but it is what it is. When you look at the regulations, you've got to find the definitions first. Section 11 of the FA handbook is where we're at, which is disciplinary proceedings. And you look under scope. And when you look at scope, it defines category 1, and that category 1 ends up including the EFL. You can stop there. So you've got category 1, and what we end up finding out later on is that's accords to table 1, which is where the cutoff dates are provided, because what it says at section 24 is essentially you can get a card accumulation up to it's in certain competitions should you get so many yellow cards. Why does it say certain competitions? Well, because it doesn't just, the automatic bans just aren't limited to League 2 play. They also apply to the FA Cup, to the EFL Cup, the EFL Trophy. I'm not so worried about those competitions because, well, the EFL Trophy don't really care, to be fair. The EFL Cup certainly would have cared, but we were knocked out of it, so it doesn't apply. And the FA Cup certainly applicable, but let's worry about those at a later date. Let's just talk about League 2 because that's where the risk is. The reference to you that there was a cutoff time and a minimum number of cautions that you can get that would end up getting you a card. So there's a chart, table 1, that's what we were referring to just moments ago, and it basically has a cutoff, a number of cards of 5, 10, 15, and 20, and then it also has the cutoff time. So if you end up getting 5 cards up to and including the 19th game, you're going to end up with a 1-game automatic suspension. As far as commencement, when does that occur? Well, there's a section that states that commencement happens immediately after the game in which you picked up that card. So if it happens tomorrow, by example, for Stockport County, and Elliot Lee picks up 1 yellow card, we know that he's going to be unavailable for the game against Crewe Alexandra the following week. It's a League 2 game, and so he'll serve that. Then he's back at it. If you end up picking 10 games, and this is where it gets concerning, if you pick up 10 yellow cards prior to the 37th game, up to and including the 37th game of the season, well, then now you've got a problem, because that means that you've got a 2-game suspension incoming. And even more concerning is if you get 15 cards prior to the end of the season, and before the playoffs. And if that ends up happening, you're going to end up with a 3-game suspension. Is that relevant here? Well, let's look at the number as far as the guys are concerned. Is you've really got 2 players that have a risk of being automatically suspended at the moment, and that's Elliot Lee, who's got 4, and that's Ewan O'Connell, who's got 3. Both of them are at picking up yellow cards at a pace of half of the games that they're involved. Obviously, Elliot played 8, Ewan's only played 6, and so it's a different scale. But you can anticipate that, that picking up yellow cards in half the games, you're going to end up getting suspended. Why do we have to curb that? Well, we play 46 games. And so if you go over 20, what's the obligation? Well, the regulation says you got to go before the regulatory committee. And here's a problem I have with the handbook is it says the regulatory committee can dish out any punishment that it deems fit. Well, what does that mean? You go over 20 yellow cards and you're going to be out for a public flogging. You're going to have to write a note to the king. Like, I don't know what it means. And there should be some sort of set scale as to potential risks, whether that be fine, increased suspension, otherwise. But in any event, that's where that's at. I wanted to get into more particulars and start to dive through the idea of club fines, because if there are too many yellow card accumulations, the club can end up paying a fine. It's not really a significant one, but it's always interesting to follow. What it basically means is we're going to be cheering for Elliot not to be picking up a yellow card for a long time. You know what? Hopefully he ends up going 10 games, 11 games without picking one up, and he can dodge that suspension. But the bigger concern is that even after you've finished that suspension, you've got to come back, and now you've still got to watch your P's and Q's, be on your best behavior, because if you end up picking up more yellow cards, you could end up with 2-3 game suspensions, and coming up to the end of the season, that's not what we want to see. So flagging that, give it out to the fans, something to watch for in the games that are coming up. And that's it for this video, a really quick one. The Red Horde. I hope to see you at the watch party. Stockport down the road, whatever. Subscribe to this, and let's go. Just a quick one to say, don't like suspensions, and it's coming. It's near. And it's not a good thing. Anyway, have a good one. This is Red Horde. Cheers.